Hey all, XArt student here. Today, I'm going to be trying something different. I'm going to be doing a segment called XArtEducation. Woohoo! So, our goal for today is to fake Photoshop. And how do I accomplish this? Well, my answer is using Google Slides. So when you open up Google Slides, you're able to kind of fake Photoshop, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So, word art. How we're going to do this, basically just like having fun with a certain word. So in order to play around, it kind of reminds me of the old like Microsoft fonts you're able to play with in like the 90s, 2000s. You could go to Insert and press Word Art. If you ever have trouble finding it, you could go to Help and search menu and then do whatever you need to find it. But for now, I'm just going to click here because I know it's under Insert. Here you have this little box and you could type in anything. For example, blue. It will show up exactly how you type it. So if you do all lowercase, that's what you get. For example, let's use this hello. I could make it stretched out really big. I could make it really thin and tiny. I can play around with any shape that I want for this hello. But if you want it to be proportional or like basically the same size without any stretching, you hold down Shift and you use one of the corners to move it around, so then everything is the correct size, just scaled up or down. In order to edit this, we can either do the border or the fill. So with the fill, maybe you just want a pure color, maybe the border, you want a fun pop. You could always make the border really big, make it small. Usually when I do a border on things, I usually pick a 4 because I like that. In Photoshop, it would be a stroke, but here it's just a border. Me personally, I don't usually do this because it kind of looks old school or old design, unless I need it for contrast. Like here we have the gradient and it didn't pop out on the background as much without that border. Like to me, I thought it made it pop out. So anyways, we're getting back to here. You can always fill this with any color that you see. You can create your own by using the colors. You can create the opacity by making it see-through. It's up to you. I'm usually not a border person, like I said. I like to do a cool gradient, so maybe I'll click a custom one or make my own. All right, now we're doing some gradients. In order to do this, you need to create a shape, and in order to make a shape, we're going to click here. If you need, hover over it, or like I said, use the search bar. But there's always going to be a shape tool at the top. You click, and you hover over what shape you want. There's tons of them. You could even make your own comic if you wanted with the comic bubbles, which I think is so cool and unique. But for now, I'm just going to show you basic shapes. So sometimes it's fun to just start out with a circle. Again, if you want a perfect circle size, you're going to click your shape, you press down, you hold it and move it. If you want it to be proportional, press Shift, and it will be a perfect circle. You let go of the mouse, and then you have a wonderful circle. I'm going to get rid of the border, but I want to do a gradient. So I click the fill color, I go to gradient. As you can see, I've played around with different colors before, but if you want to make a new one or use a preset, you could click here. So here are the ones that Google Slides already offers, and I think it's really fun to spice up a slide with some fun colors. But if I want my own, I click the Add a Custom Color. Here I can do radial or linear. It depends on what shape that I use, but for a circle, I'll use radial because it's kind of circular. I could have it at the top, the bottom, center, wherever I want. Now I have colors that I have to pick from. So maybe I want to change this middle color to a green. And here's a cool preview, which is awesome to see if you like your colors or not. Maybe I don't like just the yellow and the brown, I want to add a color. So I click add, and I could do a bright yellow. I could keep adding like tons of these. You just have to make sure you play around, and this is really just a lot of playing. If it's too many, you click a dot, you press remove. That's how simple this is. I like spacing out my colors because then you get more of that gradient. Because if it's too much, then it just won't turn out as well, I find. Like this one, too much. Okay, that's a little bit of a better gradient. Again, just use your eyes, see what works best for you. I find if you choose things that are close on a rainbow, you kind of get a cool gradient. So if I press OK, it looks like it fades in pretty well. And you could do this with any shape that's here in the tools. So maybe I'll do a pink. Here could be a purple. Maybe I want a red. I can make it linear. I'll go like this, and that's my gradient. Some of the shapes don't work as well, like I think the smiley face. It doesn't fill everything the right way. Oops, gradient. Maybe I'll just do blue. Like sometimes I think you need to make the border thicker so that you could actually see the smiley face, but I don't really like how the eyes look, so I'm not a fan of that. Okay, opacity. So opacity is basically like that ghost effect of see-throughness. So unfortunately, if you were to try to do it with some cool shapes, maybe like 2 circles, and you want to see how, just bear with me, maybe yellow and orange, you want to see how they mix. Oh my god, again with the border, can't get over that. So if I wanted to do that, and I'm trying to find format options, it doesn't give me an option for that. So you cannot do it with any shapes. You have to do it with objects. Maybe you look up flower. You can go on to Google. You can copy and paste an image. Once the image is on here, you're going to go to format options. If you don't see it, you could always click here, and you know it's selected with the blue lines around the object or the picture. Go to format options. If you still can't find it, 2-finger touch, then format options. Either way, you're going to get to the same place. Click format options, then you're going to go to adjustments. Here, you can make the opacity high, so then it's not see-through, or low. And obviously there's contrast and brightness. You could do a drop shadow, which is like a shadow underneath it, reflection. Play around, see what you like, but for now we're just talking about opacity. So maybe I want it like this. And if I had another flower, see how it's see-through? I can make it darker, I can make it lighter, whatever you feel like doing. Maybe I want to flip it around so it looks like it's a mirror image in a way. That is up to you. You could always play and see what turns out the best. You can also do this with things that you create on Photoshop. So here's a ping that I have, and you could go to insert image, upload from computer. So if you make something on your own, or you just find it on Google, totally fine. So maybe I want, let's do flower PNG. Usually PNGs have no background, but you have to slide it across. If you see the checkered there, it is not a true transparent ping. do not trust it. So I teach my students to make sure that they slide over each thing to make sure it's actually, see, that's see-through in the background. So maybe I like my little skull boy, I make him nice and big, center him, and then I paste my object. Maybe I want the eyes to be little flowers, but I do want the original eyes to peek through. So maybe I'll click both of these flowers, format options, and lower the opacity. It's up to you. Obviously play around, make it fun, have a good time, see what works best for you. Oops. And yeah, that's opacity. All right, the next thing we're going to do is a mask, or basically on Google, it's just a shape crop. So in order to do this, you need a image. So maybe you want your dog, you can upload your own or find one on Google. Make sure you insert it or paste it in. Okay, so I love my dog. Maybe I want to show that by making it into a cool circle. So then maybe I could make a fun do's and don'ts with my dog for a dog sitter. So I click the image and it's selected if it has the blue lines. You go to crop and it has a little arrow. Here you could click any shape. You want it to be fun and wonky. You want it to show that you love your dog. If you want it to just be a fun circle, that is up to you. You can even do a star because your dog is a star. Feel free. So in order to get it the shape that you want, because I said I wanted a circle, this is definitely an oval. You're going to double click and see how you have the black frame. The blue is your image, so that's not correct. The black is your circle. So I'm going to stretch it to make it the circle shape that I want. And anywhere that it's white, like the faded area, is what you won't see. So if I like that shape, I can move it around. If it's not the best, I'll move my cropping image, like the black lines, to make it a little bit bigger to show what I want. If I'm fine with cropping out all those little ears and neck pieces, then I'm good. I click away from it and I have a masked image. And you could play with different shapes, like I said. If you want it to be a rainbow, go for it. Okay, order. This is when you want things in front or behind each other, kind of like different layers in Photoshop. So you can either use an image that you import, or you could use the shape. So maybe I have two of these. I want the bigger one in front. You do 2 fingers, order, bring to front. Easy as that. If you want it in the back, order either backwards or back. Back sends it to the ultimate last layer. Backwards just sends it one back. So if you had 3 things, that's where this would be something that you wanted to think about. So maybe you wanted this all the way to the backward, would just bring it 1. Maybe if I did backward here, it would just be behind one of them. If I pressed back, it would send it all the way to the back. You can also do this with shapes. So maybe we want a triangle. We could just pick any old color, a Google blue, and I'm going to make a copy. And I want this to be this color. Let's change it up. Yellow would be fun with the whole overall look. So we have our objects, and I like the blue better. 2 fingers, order, bring to front. Maybe I like this yellow first. I could go to arrange, order, bring to front. Both options are fine for whatever you want to choose. Okay, so our last little lesson is about background. If you want something to be your whole background, I'm going to show you how, or even use some opacity. So here, I actually used one of my skull boys, and I made it the entire size of the slide. It's kind of hard when you're, like, it won't let you do full screen fully, so sometimes you kind of have to cheat and go up a little bit. Let's see if you could bring it down just a little bit, so it will let you. Just kind of have to fiddle until it fits. If you want to stretch it or whatever you want. Cool. So technically, that is your background. And let's say I wanted to put words on top, like XArt, make that bold, make it nice and big, whatever I want. I'll put it right here, and let's make it orange so it pops out. Okay, so I could leave it like this, or if this pops out too much, what I'm going to do is format options and bring down the opacity. Since I already have the opacity down so it's see-through, I can actually make this see-through part of my background into a color. So maybe I like blue, and this will make everything pop out. Maybe I want my background to be a gradient. So this is my background, so when I go to slideshow, all you see is this rectangle. But maybe I don't want one of my images. I could go on to, I'll reset that so it's white again. I'll go onto the Google machine, find a cool image, copy that, put it right here. I put it in the corner so it's lined up. Take a corner, drag it down. I'm going to keep dragging it so it's the same, oh my god. So it's the same size. I'm going to do 2 fingers, order, send it back. Okay, looks cool. It is my background. And it will only show up for where the slides actually end. So that's pretty cool. But I think it's too intense and you can't really read the XArt as much. So I'll go to format, opacity, down. And now that I have the opacity down, I could actually see the lines of my slide border and what will show up. So I'm going to crop it, double click, using the black lines to crop it down. And oops, that, maybe I'll change it. White? Nah. Do some gray. Cool. And there is your background. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you like, you could check out my Instagram, my TikTok, my Etsy, and just in general, thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.